I use this Scotch tape, but it could be any tape. And I'm just gonna use it to hold my string around. You need some scissors. I have this box of string, but like I said, any even yarn would work as long as it's the thicker yarn. Or pipe cleaners. I think I used pipe cleaners with the kids one time. Just tie them up. So we'll need that. I have different kind of paper. Um, I have the tissue paper. And then this is a really cool tissue paper I found at Five Below. Because it kind of has like metallic flakes. The only bad part of this is there's only two sheets. The rest of it is white. So you would need about two or three of these. I have my famous table covers, which are the shimmery ones. And I found these at Dollar Tree, and they're not there all the time. So it's like I always go and hope I find good materials. But I have the table covers. I also have cardstock. This is the cardstock I buy off Michael's, which they're having an awesome sale. If you need any cardstock, Michael's right now is the place to go. I have my baby glue gun, my hot glue gun, my glue sticks. I'm gonna use a lighter just so that I can burn off the edges on my rope, or else it untangles. Let's hope that's Leslie. She says she's trying. She's having a hard time connecting with her internet. Leslie, let's mute it.
Yeah, hopefully she'll be here soon. But in the meantime, just continue to do your thing.
Okay. All right. So what I usually do is I grab my balloon and I take it and I snap. So you guys can hear the balloons coming apart in there. So then I have to realize what I want this. If I want this as a doll, a head for one of my dolls, I flip it over and I cut in here. But since I'm gonna make an egg, I'm gonna keep it facing up. I'm gonna grab a marker and just make a circle close to the top so that I know where to cut. Once I've done that, I just grab my scissors and I cut into it and I cut around the hole. Once I cut a hole, this is where my candy is gonna go. It's also gonna help me put in the rope in there. So I have my little real small scissors and I kind of center it, and then I realize I want a hole here and a hole right under it. I'm gonna do the same thing, but I'm gonna make sure I kind of keep it straight, or else my piñata is gonna not be holding up straight. Once I have my holes there, I have my hole where my candy goes in, then I'm gonna grab my rope. I usually make a little knot at the end, just so that I could weed it through. And this is where I use my lighter, just so that I can burn off the edge and then stop threading. If you guys need me to slow down or stop, just let me know.
I did have a quick question because mine still feels kind of cold and maybe damp. Should I wait till it's completely dry?
Yes, you want to wait, because then it's gonna, once you pop the balloon, it might suck in those parts that are damp.
Okay. So that's what I thought. I just wanted to double check. I'm like one side is where it was sitting is still wet, still damp. So thank you.
You're welcome. So I'm gonna go in from the outside, go in on my first hole. I'm gonna grab it in here. Remember how he asked me earlier about not being able to get in there? All you have to do is cut a little bit. Once you cut it, you could stick your hand in there and we could always tape it back up. So now I'm gonna pull the other string in here through that other little hole I made. And it's, sometimes you just have to go back in there and expand it so you can kind of see where it's through. There you go. Find it. So I get my hand, try not to break my hand. It's stuck in there. There you go. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wrap this. So it's held from the top. I'm gonna wrap it all the way around the balloon and go in through the other hole. So if I pull and I wrap around, now it's going in through the bottom hole and out to the top one. And you see how my rope got to the top? We'll worry about that later. Once I have this weeded through the holes that I have created, then we'll worry about where do I put the string at? Now my two things are there. I have to make sure that this is at the bottom. So it's holding your balloon. Yeah. And that's where the tape comes into place. So I'm gonna give it a little bit of rope on there, just because you never know. Sometimes when I'm decorating it, I accidentally cut the rope a couple of times. Hi, Leslie. So once it's on there, I'm gonna grab my tape.
I finally got my internet to work. 15 minutes of troubleshooting. I apologize.
No, don't worry. It happens all the time. I'm gonna tape at the bottom, and this is just so that my rope stops moving. So I tape at the bottom, I pull the string, and I tape right where the hole is at, holding the string down. Then I do the opposite side. So now the rope is not going anywhere, and then we'll begin decorating after this. And like I said, see how I had to rip it just so that I could put my hand in there? You could either put some tape on there, or if you really want it secure, you could go ahead and paper mache, but then you have to wait to decorate your piñata. It's not gonna harm it. It's actually gonna help the kids break it, because mine is actually really hard. So once I have that, you get to choose what colors you want to do. I'm actually working on it's I think a snitch from the Harry Potter. So it's something similar to the ball that I have here, except it has wings. No. Let me go get my paper that I have cut. Another thing I did is I invested on a paper cutter, and this is like my second paper cutter I have. It helps you so you can consistently keep the same width of your paper. The first one I bought was a Martha Stewart, and it wasn't really heavy duty, but it lasted me 2 years, so it wasn't too bad. So I bought this one when I believe Staples was going out of business, and big disappointment. It was $100 on sale, and it's falling apart already. The shield where it protects your fingers already fell off. So I have to be really careful when I'm slicing it, because it's really, really ultra sharp. All right, so this is my crepe paper. It comes flat and it comes in rolls. Like I said, I can't find it here in Erie. I have to order it online. And what I hate about ordering online is that the colors that they show you on the screen is never what you get. So you order dark purple, you get light purple. You know, you order, like I think the first time I ordered purple, I got this one. And then I ordered the same purple and I got the other purple. So it's really hard on this crepe paper for them to keep the same colors. but I do like it. I prefer it more than the other paper. It's easier, and their colors are so vibrant. Like look at this pink one, the blue, the silver ones. They're all really, really cute. And that's why I like to keep them. I like to buy that instead of the other one. Now there's times when I can't find like the skin color. I'm gonna use the other tissue paper instead of the crepe paper because there's no way I can find it. So I mean, you get to use your papers, and you're like everybody likes the shimmery ones, but these are a pain. You can't use glue. You can't use crazy glue. You have to use the hot glue. But the minute you put hot glue on that, it melts. So what you have to do is you have to put your hot glue, wait for a minute, and then put it on. And then hope it's not too hot so it doesn't melt it. But I'm gonna do my egg. I think I'll make it yellow and let me see, I have so many colors. Oh, I have two kind of yellow, I think. I'm just gonna go with the colors that I have. So to cover that little hole on the top and to make it easier for me to start decorating it, I'm gonna grab just a small square. Let's see if that big as this is. Small square. It's actually 2 pieces. So I'm gonna fold it in half and I'm gonna make a circle or attempt to make a circle. It doesn't have to be perfect. What I wanna do is I wanna have enough paper to cover the bottom. So it gives me a starting point and then cover the top. So when I get to the top, I don't have to worry about that hole at the very top. Like I said, I'm gonna use my hot glue. And this paper actually stretches. So it gives it a really cool, smooth finish. So I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna put it upside down. Grab my other, looks like a teardrop, but I was going for a circle. Put a circle at the bottom. Do the same thing. This paper is really, really cool. I love to work with it because I can stretch it, mold it. There you go. So now I have my top and my bottom secure. Now I want to start decorating. Now here's where my paper cutter would be great. But if I get the crepe paper in squares, it's so much easier to use scissors. So I'm just gonna cut this in half. I'm gonna make my little squares, and what I try to do is I just try to keep them all consistent, the same size. But if sometimes some of them are bigger than the other ones, you really can't tell. Unless they're like a half an inch or an inch bigger than the other ones. Other than that, they just, seems like I measure them, but it's just eyeballing it. I'm just cutting. And this is a time consuming. I have my kids help me on this. I sit in here and I'm like, here, help me cut out this paper. But sometimes I'm like really picky at how they cut it. And I'm like, never mind, go. You can't even cut paper. All right, so this is the bottom. This is my top. This is where my candy is gonna go. So we're gonna start at the bottom facing up. I'm gonna put glue at the end of that circle. What I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna put the paper this way because I'm gonna flip my piñata. So I'm gonna put it upside down. And I'm just gonna go around the circle. Before, when I first started, I would start at the very top and it was just so much paper wasted. So I'm like, why don't I put a big circle on there? Who really checks the bottom of the piñata? And it actually looks like you intentionally did do that. Like it looks really cool. And yes, you're gonna burn your fingers. I think all my fingers are missing skin. But I'm just used to it. So I'm gonna continue doing it upside down. And I think sometimes that throws people off when you're doing it upside down, because in your mind, you're thinking that it should be hanging the other way. But just until we get some of the bottom covered, we're gonna flip our piñata back over and we'll be back on track so that it makes a little bit more sense. Yeah.
Stephanie, did you do a piñata? Are you doing it? I see you with paper there.
I did one, but it's not dry yet.
Okay, yeah, mine's a little damp still too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm just cutting and getting everything ready to
Yeah.
assemble.
Oh, nice. Meg has hers too. Yeah.
Yeah, mine's drying too. And you have to make sure that it's completely dry. The bottom was still damp.
Yeah.
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 What happens is if you try to pop your balloon, it's gonna sunk in right where it's damped. It's gonna dry
Oh.
like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it was sunny today, so a lot of it dried, but the bottom didn't dry.
Yeah.
One more day, one more day.
Another thing, see how I just cut these at a size? If you wanted to do them real thin, they actually, like for teddy bears, I like to do that. Or if I'm doing two different designs, like on a piñata, I'll do some part of the piñata real thin and then real thick. They also have a scissors that I bought. They are, I bought them at Michael's. I'm promoting Michael's too much, I guess. But that's my place where I go. And of course, I might not. So I have these. See, there's 5 blades. So every time you
wow.
cut, it cut
Ooh.
5 and cut them real thin. Now,
It's like Edward Scissorhands.
yes, they're very hard to use. You can't have too much and you can't have too little. It's like never win situation. What I try to use all the way at the bottom. Don't try to do this because there's not enough pressure here that it won't cut. So you really have to go in and know when to stop. But if you want real tiny ones, this is a good one. Then I have another one that I use this for like when I make my traditional piñatas. These things, I cut them with these scissors and it gives it like a triangle look. This is one of the ones I did with the school, so I wasn't able to use. But I like to use them because it gives it that extra, pizzazz for them. And these are the ones I did for school, and the kids loved them. Like they all had their own colors, and so I'm just gonna continue this. And I like to switch the colors. Like I'll go from a yellow to probably add a little bit of gold or maybe a darker yellow, just to give it like the Easter eggs. You know how they're decorated? Some of them have stripes. I just like to give it a little bit of color. So there you go. Now that I don't have to go into some piñata, I could actually start decorating it facing me. And it's the same thing.
And if you don't have crepe paper, can you substitute it with something else?
Yes, tissue paper.
Oh, okay.
Showing them
So-
that like regular for gifts.
Yep.
I bought this one at Five Below. See how it has a little sparkling colors?
Yep.
It's really cool. I like using it in my unicorns, but it only comes with like 2 sheets and the rest of them are white. So you would have to buy multiple packages, but this is a really cool color. I also buy my tissue paper at Hobby Lobby. And they have so many colors, and I love their amazing colors. And sometimes they're 99 cents. I think I pay $1.59 for that one. So it does get expensive. I always keep an eye on the sales. And that's what I go for.
Yeah, because I've got leftover from like holidays, so I was gonna try to use those. And then how would you cut it then? Would you just fold it and?
See, that's gonna be kind of tough because it's easier on the crepe paper because it comes already folded.
Yeah.
But that's where a paper cutter would be great.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I started just cutting them. I mean, some of them were a little wider than the others, but once you put them on the piñata, you really can't tell. And I mean, when you're decorating the piñata, you can see, okay, you know what, I have to pull it up on this side because it's longer than the other side. So, but it is kind of tough to cut the paper without the paper cutter. If it's just tissue paper.
Ryan, are you working on your light bulb?
He's actually traveling, I believe.
Oh, okay. All right. He's in his car. Okay, yeah, you're cutting out. We can't hear you well.
I fell behind traveling to Philadelphia, so I'm on my ride back right now.
Okay.
So mine actually dried. Okay.
Also, if you're gonna use that tissue paper, we call it Chinese paper. I don't know why, but in Mexico it's known as China paper. So if I say China paper, I mean tissue paper. Glue would be the one you use for that. I wouldn't waste hot glue on that. The only reason why I use hot glue is because this paper is thicker, and if you can tell it has ridges, so glue won't work. Like it'll probably have to stay in here and hold it for a couple of seconds and continue. Now, hot glue works perfect for it. So I have what we call empeluchar a little bit here. I think I'm gonna cut some blue and just make a line go through around. And I'm not gonna cut any barbitas. I'm just gonna just a straight line. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put it on here like that. So when I start the second layer, I'm gonna give it some space so that I can see the blue.
Mm.
And that's just gonna give it a little, wow. All you're gonna see is the blue. That's the first thing that's gonna attract you to the piñata would be the blue. But like I said, I love this because I can stretch it. And it's a little metallic. It's a metallic blue. I was showing him your piñata, Leslie. I made your piñata.
Let me see. Ah, you know what? I spotted the corona in the background, and I was going to say, I want that. Did you? You know me well.
Well,
I love it.
you and Armando, one of them has to like
Yes, yes, it's perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah,
to
but what's
celebrate.
inside of it? What's
nothing yet.
inside?
What are you putting inside of it?
We got to put something. I don't know. We can't put beer in it, I guess, unless we have straws. I like it.
You know what? I made a I don't know if you saw my tampon I made for one of the
I did see that.
Oh, geez.
It was in one of the shows at the 1020 Collective, right?
Yes. And one guy asked, well, what can you put on this tampon? And I'm like, tampons? What else you want to put in there? And he's like, yeah, I guess tampons. So I'm gonna use, you can hear the paper, how thick it is, and it's so stretchy. It's like I love this paper. So I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna make more. I still have some of the light one, but I want to put a little bit of darker color in there. And really, I'm just eyeballing the size of my paper. And the more you do it, you get used to it.
I'm kicking myself for throwing away like tons of old crepe paper. Oh, it's always the way.
Yes.
It's always the
I
way.
never throw anything away. My husband gets mad.
Yeah, I don't usually.
Yeah. You know what I also did? It's the bags that they use for the Easter baskets. Someone ordered a tooth. She worked at a dentist and she wanted a tooth because she wanted to do a gender reveal. And I'm like, oh, just white's not gonna look right. So I'm like, I need to add some sparkle to it. So I cut up a whole bunch of a bag out of the Easter bags, and it just gave it that extra. It almost glittered, and it was just the bag. And I just came up with it. I'm like, it has to have a little bit more than just white. It just doesn't look right being white. It's just a plain tooth. So I added a little bit of extra, and it looked really nice. I'm cutting an extra piece of tissue because if I don't, you're not going to be able to layer it enough so you can see the blue. So I'm just going to do this. And actually just adding lines to your balloon, like your egg like that would look pretty cool actually.
Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes, now we can.
Quick question, the salt, are you supposed to put the salt in with the flour and the water to make it dry faster too? That's what I wanted to ask before.
Yes, you wanna do it as you're cooking it.
Okay, as you're cooking it, all right.
Yeah. And I've noticed too, because I when I first started doing it, I would add the flour and the water and cook it, and then I'll add the salt, and it sometimes cuts it. It cuts my flour so it's not thick anymore. So I would add everything at once. I've noticed that as soon as I added the salt, it took all the density off, and it didn't catch it back again. So I had to throw it away and redo it. So I've learned that I have to use, I have to add it all together at once.
Yeah, looks good.
I'm gonna have one more, and then I'm gonna go back to the light yellow. And stickers too, like I think I started at one point using stickers just on the eggs. So after you're done with that, you give the kids some stickers and they'll just add it in there, and it just gives it a really cool look. And it's personalizing them. The kids have their own sticker collection.
I came in late and I missed, how did you put the string through?
Okay, I think I have another one I could show you how I did that.
I was planting pansies.
Oh. A little bit more. And I keep every single piece of paper that I don't use. Then it drives me nuts because I would want to use it, and it's like I don't have enough of that color. I also have an avocado I did, and I did it the same way we did
That's cute.
the piñata. This is the balloon in here, and this is a balloon. So what I did is I made a balloon, I cut it in half, put a cardboard, made a hole, and then made another balloon in here, and then paper mache it. This took longer because of the 3 different paper machines I had to do, but it looks really cool once it's done. All right, so I'm gonna go back to my light yellow. And actually the rope, I started using really thick rope on some of them. And I think Leslie's Pinata has it. And it was just very expensive. And I started looking online to see what rope would fit. And I believe the rope I'm using is a tomato to wrap tomatoes around or something like that for garden. And it works perfect. It's like a 25-pound. Pinata is never gonna be that heavy, I hope. Maybe with the candy, but nobody has complained about the string yet, so that's good. And if you have you want to have a class or something, I recommend to buy everything in bulk, just because it's a lot cheaper to do than to do it. Stuck a rock. So it's getting there. Let me show you real quick how to do the rope again before I continue that. I have my giant eggs here. What I did is I took the balloon, popped it, made a hole where the candy goes at. Now, the hole depends on how you're going to use your piñata. Sometimes I use these as heads, so the hole would be at the very bottom. This is an egg, so the hole's going to go on the side. Once you get that in there, you're going to grab some scissors and poke 2 holes, one here and one here. Then you want to make sure that they go on the same, you go directly the opposite way and do one here and one here. Once you have your rope, you want to start in here, put your hand inside, pull it through the other hole, wrap it all the way around. See how it's wrapped all the way around onto the next hole, which is over here. You pull it out through there, put it in this hole, and it comes out this way. See how I have tape there? That tape's gonna hold my rope in place. So when I'm decorating, I'm not pushing it back and forth. Same thing down here, a piece of tape. I like to use a masking tape. I didn't have masking tape when I did this. So it doesn't matter what tape you use as long as it grips on. Once you have it, so it's wrapped around, you could put this as long as you want it short or long. I leave it long. There's been times when I'm decorating it and I cut into the rope. So I have to go back in there, stick my hand and make a knot in there. So I always leave plenty of rope because it's gonna happen. I cut the rope and it's like, now it doesn't work. So instead of restarting all over again, I stick my hand in there and tie it up somehow. But yeah, it's always good to have an extra length on your rope. I don't know if you guys, I showed you the one I'm making. It's the snitch from Harry Potter. Yeah. So I'm working on that one. Like I said, you could use as many colors or whatever you want on your piñata. You know what? I'm gonna add some sparkle to this more. I'm gonna add 1 layer of this gold just to give it a little extra. That's gonna be really hot, so careful. And see how I'm trying to keep the same length of them in between them, but if it doesn't happen, it just gives it, it's not gonna be like, oh my God, I did it wrong because it doesn't have it. It still looks fine. It's just maybe me that I have to have it spread apart separately. Now, I don't know if you guys use a lot of glue guns. Any of you use a lot of hot glue guns? I'm having I don't like this little one. I think it's Stanley. Not my favorite. My favorite just burned out. I've had it for 2 years and I'm looking for a glue gun that's gonna work, but all the ones I find that are rated high are the big ones. And I think these little ones work better for me. I wasn't sure if you guys could recommend me a good hot glue gun. that you guys know of. All right, so there you go. Add a little bit of more gold. Now I'm gonna go back to my yellow. It looks so cute. You know what I was thinking we should do to this one too? At the very bottom, we could actually put a hole with my scissors and maybe add some tassels. I think the tassels will look cute at the bottom. Now that I think about it. I think you just give it a, like when it's swinging back and forth. It's almost like when you go to a, well, I've never been to one. And I don't think I ever want to be, but the bullfights when they have the red skirt that they're flagging. Like for the kids, come and get it.
So right now you just keep going around the hole, but you don't cover the hole yet?
Yes, I actually don't try to. Towards the top of the layer, once I get to the hole, that's the only thing that's gonna be covered. But I don't try to go this way. I still leave it open. So a lot of people can't find it. They always ask me, where do I put the candy? The big hole right there. So I don't even try to cover it anymore. What I do is once I get to this layer, if it hangs a little bit, but I don't cover it up. I think it's easier for them to spot that that's where you put the candy in. And I have this mat, this plastic was kind of melted already. But these are the cutting boards from Dollar Tree. I saw it in a YouTuber that she uses a lot of hot glue. And she's like, you need to buy those mats. It's a set of 2 for $1. And they work perfect. It's been working perfect for me. And that's only half of one. So I still have 4 more that as soon as that one's like really, really bad, I can change. It's just a small tip that I learned when you're using hot glue. Be careful with your string too. The hot glue will melt it and it will rip. So I have to like try to hold it with one hand and fix my paper with the other. See, it's almost there. I'm getting to the part where I'm going to show you where I'm not going to cover the hole. So basically the hole is right there, and I'm just going to put this piece of paper, start my second layer there, and that's as much as I cover it. You can still see that it's a hole. It's not completely open, but just so that the customer knows or the kids know where to put the candy without having to search through it. Like 10,000 spoons and all you need is a knife, and I can't find that knife. Oh, you might have to go with the other darker yellow. Any of you do paper flowers? Crepe paper. Oh my God. Awesome for paper flowers. Now, I haven't done any big ones. I've done little ones. Like for my Frida, I use this paper. Might want to use big scissors. I'm struggling.
So do you mean like paper flowers where you would fold it and then use the pipe cleaner to kind of tie it together and then they pull up the pieces?
I haven't done those. What I do is I cut the petals. Like I'll fold it and I'll just cut a petal. I cut the middle, I put them together, and you can stretch this paper. So you're gonna mold the rose. And you're just gonna keep adding the petals.
Okay.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, I didn't know how to make any flowers. My thing was my piñatas. And one of my sisters, was gorgeous, gorgeous flowers. So I had a customer ask me, hey, you know, could you make me some flowers? And I'm like, sure, my sister can do them, right? So I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, I can make you the flowers. Why not? I call my sister. I'm like, hey, I have a gift for you, making flowers. And she's like, oh my God, I have to work like 12 hours this whole week. And it's like, what? Who's gonna make the flowers? I don't know how to make flowers. So I literally taught myself how to make flowers. I lost so much paper that I kept throwing away because it wasn't just coming out. It was, no matter what I did, it looked like a flower. Finally, I got it, and it's like, now I can't stop making flowers. I have flowers everywhere. I don't know if you guys can see my giant rose.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Nice.
beautiful. Oh my gosh, I hadn't
Nice.
seen those.
Yeah, I started making flowers. So I'm going crazy, a little crazy with the flower making. But
Yeah, it really sculpts. Gives a nice shape.
thank you. And that's actually foam. I made those giant ones out of foam. Let me get some tape.
Foam.
You know the craft foam that they have at the craft stores, the sheets? I couldn't figure out how people were bending it like that. So I'm like, I had to look at some tutorials. They actually use a heat gun. So I went and bought myself a heat gun, and I went crazy making flowers. So now I have more flowers than piñatas in here sometimes. But I just think they're so cool. My sister's getting married, so I told her, I'm like, I should just make a whole bunch of flowers and make a wall. And we just make pictures at your bridal shower. So she's like, yeah, make them. And now I don't want to make them. Now it's like, I bit more than what I can chew.
They're beautiful though. They're really big, Esther.
Yes, they're really, really big. But that's me. There's times when I'm laying in bed, I'm thinking of, like, I have something in my head, like I want to make a piñata a certain way, and it's like I won't sleep all night. Like I'll wake up, I'll go to sleep around 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and I have to get up at 6 to take my son to work. And it's like, okay, now I don't have energy for everything that I was thinking about last night. So what I did is a little circle. See, I kind of just glued it on.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use that for the top. See?
Okay. Yeah.
Instead of me trying to do a circle here, I just do it on the side and then just put it on there. It just gives it more body, like it'll stand out. See?
Yeah.
Oh, this is my Easter.
Cute.
Cute.
Yeah, super cute.
And like I said, you could choose your colors, whatever the kids' favorite colors. Stickers. I actually I had a hole puncher that makes butterflies, so I cut a whole bunch of them in gold, and I just put them around, and they just look so cool. But yeah, this is how I make the Easter eggs.
Nice. Yeah, super cute.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any questions?
When you put the layers of the paper mache onto the balloon, yours looked so smooth. Mine are so bumpy. I'm like, what is up with this? So I'm hoping that the paper will cover that.
Yes,
yes, there it is.
Yeah, mine's
right there.
very bumpy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking that too when I was doing it with Sophia. I was like, this does not look as smooth as what she was doing.
Mine's ugly, really ugly. Oh,
it will. You know what? It actually is going to give it more body.
okay.
Oh,
Because the thumbs are going to be going up this way.
Okay.
You'll have some of these that are flipped.
All right, I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with that. It'll make it, yeah.
I want to show you something else too. I have tons and tons of basket of paper. So when I first started the piñatas, I cut all my paper. I cut them all in little strips. They're all ready to go for whatever piñata I was gonna make. Then I realized that that wasn't gonna work. They're too thin. So you can see the the paper, the newspaper. So I'm like, oh man, I came up with this. So I doubled the amount of strips and I cut my paper like this, and then I fold it in half. Once I fold it in half, and it's a little tricky, especially with the Chinese paper. You fold it in half, and then you start cutting. You don't want to cut the open side, you want to cut the bottom side. So same thing. But when you take it apart and you put it on, there's more volume to it. So your piñatas are going to look thicker, especially if you're using the Chinese paper. Double it up. It's going to give it extra value. It's a little harder to even keep folded. You don't want to push on it, because once you push on it, you're going to flatten it out. So you just want to hold it from the top and just snip, snip, snip all the way down. And that is going to be the most time consuming, is cutting your paper. Cutting your paper and cutting las barbitas. It's gonna be your day. It's gonna take most of your day. But that's another thing I learned. And now I have all those papers cut in little strips. I still use them once in a while, but it's like I have so many cool polka dots, and they're all in strips. I'll cut them all in strips. So now I'm stuck with all these strips that I have. But it's something I learned myself, you know. And if I wanted to look, and they even like double on size, just because you're doubling the paper, so they're spongier. They look really, really cool. Hey, you're home, Ryan.
Yes, I'm home, and I just cut out my circle for my light bulb, and I think I did like 6 or 8 layers.
Oh, wow.
I don't think anybody's gonna break this thing. It is really solid.
The good thing is that it does look like a light bulb, so that's pretty cool.
I know. I got a bright idea.
Diane, did you have a question earlier or a comment, I think?
You didn't have a hole in the bottom. You just covered the bottom with a circle.
Yes, yes. And why I'm doing that, it's because so that I don't waste paper or time trying to cover this.
Right.
So that's why I put that sheet down there. So you can't even tell that it's
Thank
there.
you. Yeah, that's good.
And that's one thing I learned, that I mean, I would take quite a while just trying to go around and around, going around.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why am I doing that? Boom, it worked.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
It's just little tricks that I've learned myself.
So I have a question. So I'm going to do the light bulb, and this is where my balloon was. So I'll just want to put a piece of tissue paper right over the bottom.
Yes.
And then I got my hole up here, and then I'll put my strings up here so it hangs.
Yes.
Perfect.
Now, are you putting what are you putting for the bottom of your light bulb?
I'm going to do gray down here at the bottom, and then do yellow everywhere else. Or
Try putting some cardboard.
What's that?
Try putting some cardboard. It give it that second dimension. Yeah, like not towards the bottom, but like the case of the light bulb.
Oh, so put like almost a little cardboard tube.
Yeah.
Like chip a painting in or something.
Yes.
That would, and then hot glue that on.
Yes.
Right.
That's gonna give it that extra of a light bulb looking like.
And why did you have that plastic pad for your hot glue gun? So you just lay it down?
Yes.
All right, that's because I burn everything whenever I use a hot glue
Me
gun.
too.
Yeah,
I burn tables. My tables burn.
Yeah, there's a whole spot in my school where it's just like burn marks on the countertop.
Yes. Dollar Tree. Go to Dollar Tree. Get their cutting boards. This is what it is. It's half of it. It's double in size, and it works perfect. Perfect for that. And I would try to use some of the glittery paper for your light bulb, like towards the bottom, just to give it that shiny. You know, your light bulb has that silver part at the bottom.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. I wanted to show you these. These are the fairy bike lights that you get from Amazon. and you could put them around. They're basically fairy lights, like little string lights, and they run on AAA batteries on like a little thing like this. I don't have these ones with a battery in, but this whole string lights up. And then there's this other stuff that can light up, which looks pretty
that
good.
is so cool.
And that's like a little battery pack too. But they're like, everything's under like 15 bucks.
Wow.
So I know you're talking about lighting it. So
Yes, I want to put that on my heart. That's gonna have some light in it.
Meg also had a good suggestion for the hot glue. She uses a cookie sheet, an old cookie tray or cookie sheet, which you can also get at the Dollar Tree,
Yeah.
you know, for cheap. But you could, so that's a good idea too, to use it as a place to put your hot stuff on when you're working. Yeah.
And it does ruin your furniture. Like two tables that I've ruined, my cutting mat. I have to grab like a knife and like scrape it off. But then I'm scraping half the table and half the glue. So
Right.
yeah.
Any other comments or questions?
Just about the strips, Esther, that you said you had, like the polka dot one, and how would you put those on? The same way, by wrapping it around it?
Yes.
Yeah,
But
okay.
that's kind of what I did with this. These are exactly that same paper. See how they're not doubled?
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly
Oh,
that
okay.
paper. I just had to add it. My balloon was actually white, so that helped. That's why I didn't have to double it. But this is one of the ones I did with the students, and they had this kind of paper. So I kind of wanted to show them something that they already had. But I mean, they look pretty good, I think. I just
Yeah.
I like the effect of being fluffier.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, that's just preference.
Yeah.
But this is I like my little.
I love those. Yeah. I love that.
So how did you make the tassels?
Oh, it's actually the same strips that I have. Oh, and I had some really cool colors. Like, look at the silver one. I ruined all my paper. I was so mad. But then I have these. So I cut them all in strips. I grabbed the whole package of tissue paper and I just put it through my cutting machine here. So what I do is I just fold it in half. And I'm actually going to use my cool scissors that I have. And then I'm going to fold it, not all the way to the top because I want to leave that open. So I want to fold it this way. So see, the top of that is right there. I'm just going to make 3 strips and I'm going to use if I can find it in this book, I'm going to use these scissors, which they have like a little triangle.
Okay.
And I'm going to fold it one more time, just it's easier for me. I separate them just so I can give them some air. And then I just bunch them all together in the top.
Twist them.
And that's it.
Okay.
Reminds me of the streamers on my bike when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know?
That's exactly. And having the scissors, it gives it that, see the little ridges that it gives it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And actually, if I have a piñata that I'm doing this, I would keep the whole sheet. And I'm going to cut it this way. Instead of going straight, I'm going to go this way. So when you put it all together, they're all going different ways. They're all not going straight. So that gives it a lot of volume to your tassel. But yeah, they're so easy. You can make them real thick. You can make them thin. All your preference. I think the thinner on the smaller piñatas look better.
Yeah. Cute.
You can try size it. And like I said, I think it look cute if you just attach it to the egg. So when it's dangling, it has a little bit of a tassel.
Nice. Any other comments or questions before we wrap it up? Thank you, Esther, so much for this creative workshop, 2 days, in two parts. It was fantastic. Really appreciate your time and sharing your expertise with us.
Oh, thank you. I want to thank everybody for coming in and showing up so I can show you what I've learned, what I've taught myself. I really appreciate it.
Awesome.
Yeah, so fun. So fun.
One more Oh, one more question. Where can you go and buy your piñatas?
So I put her Instagram handle in the chat. It's Esther Pinata Shop. So you can look for her on Instagram, but is there any other way, Esther?
That's really much. I have some pop-ups that I have in Erie, but like if you don't live in Erie, that's where I would go to my. Just DM me what you're looking for, and every piñata is different price, of course, but that's how I usually take orders.
Okay.
Awesome. All right. Thank
Really
you.
fun.
Great Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Esther.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll send pictures